Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Grit and Grace podcast. My name is Dana Lyons, and I want to welcome back Lori Haraldsen. I am so glad you're here.
Again, I look forward to
Yeah,
this conversation.
yeah. It's funny. When I wrote all my notes down to have you on here, it was like, oh, and I want to talk about this, and oh, I got to talk about that. And I added actually more things that I wanted to talk about because, you're just so fascinating. And one, love the new little elf on the shelf look, and you got the one where you're just kind of going back and
Dancing.
forth with your
Uh-huh.
hips. It's kind of a
Uh-huh.
cute little
I love AI. Yeah, it's good.
It it's adorable. I thought about you this morning
Oh.
because I was having a hair drama day,
Uh-oh.
and I literally now have you in my voice. I'm like, ah, this is what she means when she talks about hair drama, and she was so over it. I guarantee she's not struggling with this today. I'm at a phase in life, and I've never experienced this ever. And I don't know if it's because I had cancer in 2024, so my hair shifted, or it's menopause, or a little bit of both, but I'm in this phase of life where I've always been super straight hair. I just had like a cowlick in my hair, and it's always been straight. And if I got anything, it was just a little bit of frizz, like typical woman gets. Um, but since 2024, all of a sudden one day, my son was here visiting, and one day I was like, I was hanging with him, and I just didn't blow dry my hair, and I had that moment where it was like, shoot, too late to blow dry, it's already dried. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, wow, I got some curl. And I went to my family, I'm like, guys, I got like a little bit of curl. And by the end of the day, it was like curly and curly. And I'm like, this what's
What's
happening?
happening? Yeah.
But I'm in that, like, I don't have, like, some women have, like, you see Lucy Escobar, Lucy?
Hmm? Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
got like this beautiful, rich, like, curl. I don't,
Natural
I don't have
curls.
that.
That's how
Mine's
mine
like,
was. That's how
that's
mine
how
was.
yours.
My whole head, yeah, all my hair was super wavy before I cut it off. Yeah.
Yeah, not me. So I have this like, oh, there's some wave down here, but like the straightest parts are like these stragglers up here and some straight here. Yesterday I just threw it up in a ponytail, and today I was like, yeah, that's not cutting it. Try to scrunch it, didn't work. It was like I gotta restart all over again. And I thought, this is what Lori means
Hair
when she's
drama.
talking about hair drama.
Yep.
So
This is
thank you putting
easy.
words to what I
This
was
is
feeling.
very easy.
Yeah. So did you just get a shave today? Because 2 weeks, I
Yesterday.
think, right?
Yeah,
Yesterday.
yesterday. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a 15
It's
minute
cute.
appointment. It's like the easiest thing. So not only am I not spending so much time at the salon, but also I'm in and out in under 15 minutes because it's just a bzzz, snip, 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 and we catch up real quick. I've been seeing her for 8, 9 years now, and
Wow.
yeah, uh, we catch up, and then okay, love you, bye.
Wow.
Yeah.
This morning I was jealous. It was like, wow, that's what she means. So,
Yep.
um, the other thing I wanted to talk about before I forget is what I see you post a lot. You're a foodie, aren't you?
I am totally a foodie. Random fact, I don't know if I've told you this. I'm a certified steak judge.
You are not.
I am. I get to eat ribeye for free and judge it.
Okay.
I've been doing
You
this
can't
since
just,
2021, and it's an amazing way to spend a weekend. Good food, good people. Yeah, random.
okay, tell me more. Like, how do you become a judge? And
There's a thing called the Steak Cook-Off Association where you can go take a class to become a certified judge. And you pay for the judging class so you can learn the standards by which we're all judging. And then you pay for an annual membership, which also gives you discounts to barbecue things, right? Barbecue food, barbecue tools, and barbecues. And then anywhere around the world, actually, if you're traveling or want to go to a specific place, you can just sign up to be a judge for free at any one of these competitions. And there are some epic steak cooks out there, and they are every single I've maybe tasted two bad steaks in my life. One of them at one of those cook-offs. One of them was
oh,
by someone else, but they are epic competitors. They're amazing. So yeah, I am a bit of a foodie. I used to do a food blog. Like Pioneer Woman would be like, "Hey, here's this
yes.
recipe. I'm gonna try it." I had a whole blog where I would talk about, I found this recipe. I really like what I learned, but I'm going to change it up. This is how I'm going to change it up. Here's the original
Mhm.
recipe. Here's what I went with. Here's how it turned out. Here's my review on it. So, yeah, I'm a bit
Why,
of a
wh-
foodie.
why did you stop doing that?
Life, it's
Oh.
still out there somewhere. I just haven't added to it recently.
Well, because and well, I asked is because that stuff is so huge right now, right?
Yeah,
Like all the food,
yeah,
and you even have cooking shows, and I mean, there's just
yeah.
countless
And you
ones
know what?
now.
We don't learn how to cook right. We don't, recipes don't tell us how to cook correctly.
What do you
And
mean?
so, like how to make a good sauce. You don't just pour it out of a jar. You actually make a roux. You start with the base ingredients and then you flavor it appropriately and then you turn it into a gravy or a roux or a sauce of some sort. And when I became a nerd about cooking, because I was raised by a mother that loved to cook and two grandmothers that loved to cook and bake, I learned true cooking techniques. So um, I just kept learning.
So do you cook every day? Like just whip something up from scratch kind of a person?
It's half and half. Sometimes the schedule's busy where I will warm up leftovers from something I had 2 days ago or yesterday. Sometimes it's warming up something that I picked up at the store. So it just depends. But yeah, I'm pretty picky about my food.
Okay, so mental note, if you ever have Lori over for dinner, don't do a steak because she's a pro. No, mental,
So,
I got
you
a
know,
note.
here's another note on the steak thing. You know how, I don't know if you know this, but when steaks are considered prime steaks, it's because they've been aged for 25 days. In the Steak Cook-Off Association, they have a special certification for people. Once you've judged over 25 competitions, you become a prime steak judge.
Wow.
And then I get to mentor new judges that come in and sit with them and talk to them about here's what we're looking for. I mean, they've already gone through the class, but I'm just going to sit next to them and remind them here's what the class taught us, right? So, yeah, it's fun.
I love steak. I like lamb. I like steak. Like I like elk and bison. Like I like those. I love steak. My
Yeah.
kids now love steak. My husband not so much, but my we love steak. Are you did you get into it because you're like a steak lover in particular, or you just were
Oh yeah.
like, yeah, you fell into this and
Oh yeah. So I was raised in the Central Valley of California, Central Coast area where Santa Maria style barbecue was the thing. And my dad would make a killer, still does to this day, make a killer tri-tip. Tri-tip's hard, but he nailed it. He nailed it. And being raised in that area where you've got great beef on hand, you've got people that know how to cook it. Yeah, I think just having good food in my life growing up made me a bit of a food snob.
yeah.
Um, but then I was sitting having coffee with someone when it was during COVID. We were sitting outside at a coffee shop, and he said, "Hey, do you want to be a steak judge?" I was like, "I'm sorry, what? You can do this?" So yeah, I'm having a class at my house tomorrow night in the backyard, and this was something that was we were all doing for mental health, honestly, in 2021,
Yeah.
in the midst of all the chaos happening in the world at that time, and it was a great outlet. And I've been involved. I've thrown some of my own along with another person in town. We've thrown several of these competitions as sponsors and hosts in a parking lot. And just people ask me, "What do you do for fun? You're always working." Oh, you know what I do for fun? I take care of my plants and I am a steak cook-off judge. And they're like, "What?" That's what I do for fun. Those are my hobbies.
That is so it's funny you talk about plants, so we'll do that in a second because
Okay.
that's the other thing. It's like I know you're a foodie because I see
Uh-huh.
your posts, but you also love plants.
Oh yeah. Do you want to
I
know the
hate
current
cooking.
do you want to know the current count of plants in my house?
Gosh. Hang on, I'm gonna guess.
Yes.
57,
Higher.
72,
Higher.
101.
82.
Wow. How do you remember to water them?
I've got a schedule on my calendar.
Wow.
Go water the office plants today, go water the living room plants today, water the kitchen plants today. Yeah.
Oh, do you sing to your plants and talk to them?
No, I don't do that. But I sing loudly in my house all by myself, so I'm not singing to them, I'm singing to myself. It's a great question though.
Okay,
I
so
don't
why
have
are
them
you
named.
well, that 82 would be a lot. It's kind of like
Yeah.
having your own, like, dog shelter. It's like you
Yes.
got so many, you're
Yes.
just gonna have
Yeah.
to start pulling names, but
Yeah.
it would be hard to remember.
Yeah.
But like, why plants? What
They
got you into
were
that?
my therapy after my divorce.
Gotcha. Now, plants, but you also post like beautiful flowers. So it's like,
Mhm.
is
I
it
just
just like
love nature.
anything?
Just love
Yeah.
nature. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I still have the very first plant I bought right after my divorce. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep this thing alive because I'm not real good at it. And it's a monstera, and it had 3 leaves at that point, and now I've
Mm.
divided it up into 4 pots, and it's just it's quadrupled in size, and it's got all these leaves, and it's just super happy, and it makes me happy.
I just got into gardening. And I
Nice.
don't even understand. I'm so not science. The minute things go science, I go
Glaze
blank, I
glaze
check
over.
out.
Yeah.
No, can't
Uh-huh.
I just don't get it. And it's too technical for me. Like I say, it just becomes too and
Mhm.
from what I hear, you have to kind of understand some science to be even a
Yeah.
good cook.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So I just go, yeah, this is why I hate cooking. I want my family to eat good. And I would say more food. We all have like our snob thing. I say my husband's a water snob because he just can't drink just any water. It's got to be like no taste or anything. Um, I'm like a kind of a food snob because I just can't eat what I would say crap,
Yeah.
but it's got to be good quality. So I
Yeah.
don't mind paying a lot of money
Yeah.
for a good dish
Yeah.
because otherwise I'm like, ugh. But I just don't enjoy the cooking part. I just want somebody to come in and do it for me. So, like, if I was rich, I'd pay for a cook. It's brutal. But now, steak, see, I'm Polish, so I
Yeah.
want steak and potato. I could do that all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. I'm part
Um,
Polish too.
yeah, like our
Well,
meat and potatoes.
that's a whole different story. But yeah, yes. Yes, we like our meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, okay, so
Let's
the
dig in.
real, and the more I learn about you, the more it's like you are just I love talking to women because and it's not that it's not men, but sitting with more and more women, we usually know people by the one or two things that you're interacting with them for, right? If you're in a business group, you're talking business. If you're in a plant group, you're talking plants. But the more I talk to you, it's like, wow, you got all these little pockets. We're so multi-dimensional and leveled and fascinating. um
It's also ADHD.
you think? Well, I'm not ADHD, but
Okay, yeah. Well, for me, I get bored quickly, so I'm all over the place. Yeah, so
what is that, ADHD, or is that I could see you having kind of an entrepreneur kind of mind, and I feel like
yeah,
those could be labeled that, but
it's that, and it's the equal left brain and right brain thing that
mm,
one of my bosses pointed out to me that I didn't recognize ahead of time, and he's like, "Lori, do you realize this about yourself? You
yeah,
can be just as analytical as you can be creative, and then you find a way to, like, bring it together and move forward, and that's your strength. That's one of your biggest strengths." So, yeah, it's partly that, and it's partly ADHD, I think, and I
yeah,
learned that about myself when I was in college. Yeah,
yeah. Wow.
yeah.
Well, one of
Anyway.
the things we were going to talk about today, the Police Foundation, and
Yeah.
I want to talk about this because we were sitting having coffee, talking about other things, and you drop this like, wait a minute, you do what? And I want to talk about it because I know this is a really sensitive subject. In some ways, when you just anymore today you say the word police, and I get it because like we talked about at coffee, there are police who have not protected or dealt properly with people who needed to be handled differently, and so I understand that. At the same time, that doesn't discount the ones who are doing good things and do protect, and I'm super grateful, and so we
Yeah.
want to talk about those. And I there has been a time in my life when I've needed a police officer, and they showed up right for me. And so I have experienced police officers who show up well, who were advocating for me, who did give me guidance on doing the right thing, um, for safety.
Yeah.
And they're out there. And so I don't want to ignore one and say they're all good because that's not true. but there are a lot of really good ones,
Yeah, like any
right?
profession, there are people who operate in integrity and there are people who are
Correct.
not doing that.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And you are very passionate about it. And what really drew me to talk about this with you is because you were telling stories that were just so cool and you could see your passion, like, we got to go on and talk about it. So, how did you get into this? What is it that you do? And yeah, let's just kind of start there.
Well, a lot of people have asked me why are you in such support of law enforcement? And I will
Yeah.
say it all stems back to the respect that I was raised with by my parents and my grandparents, and both sets of my grandparents. And then I had friends that I was friends with from childhood that went into law enforcement and supported law enforcement, first responders of various types, military, fire, EMT, who I knew they were doing it for the right reason. And then the majority of my interactions with law enforcement, literally 99% of it has been positive. Um, and that's saying a lot for my 50 plus years on this planet, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I didn't learn about nonprofit foundations for law enforcement until I moved to Salem. I moved to Salem 10 years ago now, moved back to Oregon. I had lived here when I was a kid, moved because of my dad's job, various parts of California, but we all ended up back here in Oregon.
Yeah.
And I heard about this thing called the Salem Police Foundation several years after moving here. And I thought, that's interesting. What do they stand for? Who are the board members? How do they operate? Are they respected people in the community? And I just stood back and watched for a couple years. And then um, I eventually asked someone who was on the board, hey, how does one participate in this Salem Police Foundation thing? And she's like, oh my gosh, you would be a perfect person to sit on this board. Do you want to be on the board? Let's set up an interview. And um, that was over 5 years ago now. I was voted on to the board. I eventually became the vice president and then the president. And now I've set up a consulting agency helping other law enforcement agencies and otherwise set up nonprofit foundations uh, similar to what Salem Police Foundation's been doing for the last 15 years.
So as you sat back and watched, at what point, like, what made you go, I think I want to get involved in that?
Oh, I don't know if I could name an event. Just wanting to support law enforcement further, other than just saying thank you, waving and saying thank you as I would drive by one on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Um, I um, I don't know if I could name an event. Just
Yeah.
I've always been a supporter of law enforcement in one way or another, and I wanted to give more than what I was doing from my own little life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you started this foundation. Tell me about that. All right. So
I
you
didn't
talked
start the
about
foundation. I didn't start the foundation. I started a
you.
consulting agency now
I
that
mean,
I'm no longer on the board of Salem Police Foundation. My term came to an end. And
yeah.
I knew looking forward, when my term comes to an end, I'm still going to want to do this. So I
Yeah.
want to set up an agency to help, a consulting agency to help other law enforcement groups have this same benefit from their community.
Mm.
Yeah.
So like, what are some of the things you do?
So I'll give some examples from various police foundations. Um, one of my favorite was, and this was in another state, but someone bought, one of those push cart ice cream cart things that you typically
Mm-hmm.
would see at a, I don't know, baseball game.
Yeah.
Um, a department up in Washington had their foundation name put on the side of the push cart, and the police during the summer will go out to the park and hand out free ice cream.
It's
And
cool.
they had wrappers made in the foundation name, and they were just out at the park interacting with families and the kid, and they would be like, free ice cream, and the kids would come running, and the parents can't tell their kids no at that point, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and the officers are there handing out ice cream, and um I love how that impacted that community. Yeah. I will also say some of the things that Salem Police Foundation has been able to accomplish is they fully funded the canine program. Buying the dog, training the canine handler, paying for any equipment they needed, and then all the way through the medical retirement of that dog. The foundation has paid for everything for the dogs. It's amazing.
And is it because it's not all covered under the budget of the police departments anymore? Is it
Yeah,
because everywhere, it's like, when we talked, it was so many people are tired of don't. It's like that. Um, a lot of things are getting cut, and so we have to come up with
yeah,
extra money
creative
because the needs are still there.
creative funding. Yeah, or um, the city budget isn't there, and you don't really want to ask all the citizens to pay more taxes to fund these
Yeah.
things, when especially when community members are coming forward, like literally check in hand, how much do you need to make this happen? I really want to see this in our community. You can't accept a donation like that from a private citizen or a business in town without having a nonprofit set up to receive it.
Yeah.
So it can go, like, it's a way for the community to show support, and it's also a way for the officers to receive extra training and gear and resources that they need to do their jobs, keep them on the job, get them home safely, and back to work the next day. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's a budget. There's so many needs out there that so many cities have addressed, that a lot of police departments and sheriff's offices are seeing cuts to their budgets.
Yeah. But and yet, much like in other departments that serve, communities, it's the pressure and the responsibility and the need is still there on their side. So if
Yeah.
they or anybody else doesn't have what they need, they still have
Yeah.
to get the job done. They still have to protect, they still have to serve, they still have to
Yeah.
do all these things.
Yeah.
And what I find really interesting, and you said this, is on our first podcast together, out of all the things, and you are so multifaceted, you do all these different things. You, what I love about you is I said, "What do you want to talk about today?" Because I had a whole list of where I could have went. You didn't name your job or your title or your it was let's talk about community. That's like to me, I think that the more I learn about you, that's the heart of who you are, is you're all about community and connecting the community
Yeah.
and helping the community be a community. And when it comes to the stuff that you're talking about in the police in the foundation, is all the ways in which it helps build the community.
Yeah,
I just
it's like a
I love
two-way
it.
bridge. It's a two-way
Yeah.
bridge, right? So the community wants to help, which is moral support for the police department. And then the police want to build healthy relationships with the community, positive interactions with the community, and then they have a way to do that because this bridge has been built uh to build trust and build to show integrity and appreciation from the community, and it's good work. It's good work.
Yeah, but and for the good ones that are out there who truly want to serve and protect, there is an obstacle that they unfortunately have to overcome, and that is they have to build trust, even though others have broken it. So there is that hurdle or the
Yeah.
extra level they have to go through
Yeah.
to try to build trust back and show that we are here to
Yeah.
protect you. Um, so what are like? Give me some other stories because some of these
Yeah.
stories are pretty cool.
So one of the items that was purchased by the foundation were trauma kits for the patrol vehicles. And they're just a simple, like, emergency kit, right? That helps uh that the officers can use for individuals in the community if they arrive before medics arrive, or if the officer is injured on the job, they can help themselves. And several years ago, one of our officers was shot during a simple traffic stop. And because of the trauma kits that this nonprofit foundation purchased, she had it in her vehicle. She saved her life with the stuff in that simple trauma kit. And like, she applied the tourniquet herself, and she's still on the force today. And it's
Wow.
amazing to know that something as simple as that emergency kit, trauma kit in her vehicle, um, saved her. Another thing, one of the fundraisers that we had done was for upgrading the ballistic inserts that go inside the vests that they wear.
Mm-hmm.
The vests that they wore were Kevlar, which expire over time. They don't protect from high-powered rifle rounds. And so the ask from the department that year was to help was for our financial support to help them upgrade those inserts so that they could have better inserts. And these don't I get emotional about this. These don't expire. They could be damaged if you get shot, but they also now protect people from high-powered rifle rounds. And our SWAT team already had them. Some officers had spent their own money buying them for themselves because they wanted the extra protection. But when we made the pitch at our fundraiser to buy these and explained how much they cost per insert per person, they're form fitted to each officer. So it's like a personalized thing. I had people walking up to me after that fundraiser with a check and said, I want to buy 5 of these. I want to buy 10 of these. Like there was that dollar amount that we announced and said, these are so much per insert, made a personal connection with that donor about why they wanted to support the department in this way. And I had officer after officer show up when we made the final purchase. Officer after officer was telling the board, thank you. Just like tears in their eyes. Thank you for protecting us the way you're protecting us, for providing a way for the community to show their appreciation to us, for helping us get home safely to our families, and then even during some situations, stay on scene longer because we weren't injured, because these vests, these inserts protected us, and then we can get back to work the next day. Thank you. And that was so impactful to me. It was probably one of the most meaningful things that I experienced working with this foundation, of just the gratitude that came back from the department because the donors were connecting to the purpose,
Yeah,
right?
for
And
sure.
I will never forget those conversations. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
some of the larger things that we've done, along with grant writing and other funds from the city and sales of vehicles from the city to help purchase this, are like the large RV size mobile command unit, so that when there's a critical incident, this mobile command unit goes out to the scene and stays on the scene until the investigation is done. And there's computer screens, and there's a way to make coffee in there in case they're on scene for 12, 24 hours. Um, all the way to the mountain bikes that the downtown services team spends or uses when they're downtown, riding around on bikes instead of in patrol vehicles. So they're having more personal interaction with people. So the ticket prices are all over the place on the types of things that we're doing, but it's things that are specific to the department's needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm a full believer of the greatest way to understand somebody else and to love another human. And I just mean love your neighbor, kind of a love, is to take your shoes off and put on theirs,
Yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
to put our shoes, take our shoes off and put them into a police officer's shoes just for a moment, to know that these police, I don't think you get into any, whether it's a first responder of any kind, law enforcement, any of those where you go and serve the community. I don't think you get into those for the most part. I'm sure there are some that aren't good, like in every part of the world. But most of those have servant hearts, and they want to make this world a better place. They do want to protect. And to have an obstacle like overcoming how people view police officers, for one who has such a genuine heart of like, I love the city and this people, that had to be such an emotional one, especially for the family members connected to these police officers, knowing they're a little bit more protected, from
Yeah.
bullets. And that had to be very fulfilling.
Yeah.
Um,
Can I share one more that's not related to donations?
yeah.
One more story. I think I shared this with you when we were having coffee. Because of my involvement with the board of this nonprofit, one of my friends came to me and said, Lori, I would like it if you could help me sit down with a police officer and just get to know one of them one on one. My
I love this story.
society, my culture tells me that I shouldn't trust police officers,
Yeah.
and I want to do better. I want to learn better. I want to be better. Could you set up something? Sure. I can think of a couple people who would want to come to the table for this. Let me chat with them and we'll figure out who to sit down and have a conversation with. Do you want me there or do you want me just to set it up? No, 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 I want you there. Okay. So we sat down at a local coffee shop. The officer showed up in full uniform. Um, my friend showed up and they got coffee together, and I sat at the table and watched them stand at the counter ordering their coffee. And by the time they came back to the table to sit down with their coffees in hand, they were calling each other bro. Like it was an instant, just first of all, I think just the yes from the officer to come sit down and him understanding why this other person wanted to come sit down at the table. Um, it was an instant, we're just human. Let's sit down and get to know each other and have a conversation. I may be wearing a uniform. You may come to the table with some conceptions, right or wrong. Let's talk through them. And we sat there for an hour, I think, hour and a half. And I just listened. I was like a fly on the wall, watching one of the best conversations. I spurred on a couple things like, hey, officer, could you talk to him about such and such? And for the most part, I just sat there and watched it. And it was so beautiful to watch this conversation. Um, and I want more of those conversations to happen.
So how do we make those happen? How, I mean, like, what are your ideas on that? Because I think that'd be a great idea.
I think, first of all, I would suggest if someone has a suggestion like that, reach out to me or someone else that sits on the board of a local nonprofit foundation for your law enforcement and ask. Just ask, can I do this? But also, most police departments will do like coffee with a cop events a couple times a year. You can also show up at your law enforcement office and ask if they can take a ride along. And the ride along would be 2 to 4 to 6 hours where you can just go on patrol with an officer, watch them do their job, ask questions, and get to know the person behind the badge and how hard it is to do their job. I recommend ride alongs with law enforcement. And almost every police department I've reached out to, there've been a handful when I'm traveling that say, I'm sorry, you don't live in our city and we're really
Mm.
busy right now. So we don't want to do a ride along with a total stranger. I get that. But I've gone on, I don't know, 6 ride-alongs with Salem Police. I just submitted an application to go along with Marion County, and I've got a Kaiser application sitting here to turn in to go along on a ride-along with their police department. And typically, they're going to say yes. You've got to fill out an application. They're going to do a background check on you, but
Sure.
just go ask questions.
So what does that look like? Because I've never done one, but is it you sit in the, do they put the person in the back or do you get to sit in the
No,
front
you don't want to
seat?
sit in the back seat.
Why?
It's uncomfortable and it's sometimes dirty. But yeah, you get to sit in the front seat and
I
there's some
just wasn't
guide.
sure if they would put people in the back just for their own protection. You know what I
Oh
mean?
no, that's why they do a background check on you. There's
Gotcha.
some guidelines. You can't bring any weapons with you, of course.
Sure.
Um, they ask you to wear appropriate clothing, nothing with printed stuff on it that's going to cause a problem while you're out on scene. And typically, who you get assigned to is happy that you're there to have this conversation.
Mm.
Um, it's it's enlightening.
And are they
And
usually really open? I'm assuming the ones who allow that are really open to engage in that kind of conversation, knowing we're
absolutely,
trying to bridge, like we really do want to help you and we want to create relationship, because we're all
absolutely.
in the city together.
And then as we're responding to a call, they'll say, here's what's going through my mind. So they kind of talk you through, here's what I'm mentally preparing myself for as we arrive to this call. I remember one of the calls that I went on with someone who I think is now a sergeant. At the time he was a patrol officer. He said, so we're arriving at a house where the dad called in that his son is sleeping in his car in his driveway because he's been kicked out of the house. and he's known to have firearms, but he's sleeping in the car. And so we're going to make announcements. We're going to send in a canine, and we're going to explain that he needs to come out of the car, or we're going to break the window and send in the canine because there's a restraining order against him. He's not supposed to be at the house. The
Mm.
kid was violent. That's why he was kicked out of the house. I say kid, he was 19 or 20 or 21 years old. So here's what's going through my mind. Here's how I'm going to prepare. And because we know he's been known to have guns, if shots are fired, I need you to be ready to hop out of the car and hide behind the car. Are you going to be comfortable with that? It was intense, and I was like, yeah, thank you for telling me what to do, because he didn't want me sitting in the vehicle and then potential shots being, you know, shot at us. Thankfully, it all went smoothly, nothing happened, but he was preparing me for, here's what you do: hide behind the rear tire wheel well on the ground, crouched down behind the car. And again, it was intense, but I didn't have to do any of that because it all went okay. The guy was
Yeah. So
compliant.
they'll actually take you on those kind of
Oh
calls
yeah.
because then you're kind of at risk too. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I remember my very first ride along that I did was on a Sunday morning. And I think the first 6 or 7 calls we went on were all domestic violence calls. And I believe everyone was still intoxicated from partying the night before. Literally. Sunday morning, I arrived at 7 a.m. at the police department, and we hit the road immediately to go out for, like I said, several back to back domestic violence calls. And one of the calls that we arrived on, as we were walking up the driveway to the front door, people came running out the front door, and I hid behind a tree. Like, I didn't know what to expect. I just stood there and hid behind a tree, knowing this is my protection. I don't want to be standing out there if this person has weapons of any sort. And from there, we went to another domestic violence call where I stayed in the car this time. And it was exciting, but also seeing how dangerous it is. There's actually a statistic that shows that domestic violence calls are the highest risk for police officers because people are on edge, they're elevated, you don't know what kind of weapons they have, if any, and you're walking into the unknown. And so um, it's intense. And to think that, I mean, just on a Sunday morning, we went to 6 or 7 domestic violence calls within hours, back to back. Yeah, walking in the shoes of an officer and seeing what they deal with in one shift is truly eye-opening.
yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, and and just to have to experience that, and then you have to learn how to leave it at work and
yeah,
go home to your own family.
yeah,
It's a lot to carry.
yeah,
Um, where is there still a need? I know there's always needs, but like
yeah.
in general,
Yeah, I mean, I could go from the personal level to a family level to a community level to nationwide. It takes one person at a time changing their mind about potentially changing their mind about how they view law enforcement,
yeah,
giving someone the benefit of the doubt, walking in their shoes, and then sharing that to your family, sharing that to your circle of influence, sharing that to your community. I learned recently that across the US, there's only 400 nonprofit foundations that support law enforcement. And if we could help set up other nonprofits for law enforcement foundations, it's going to do so much good for this country. Again, community members want to help, but you need some guidelines in place to be able to do that ethically. And when the department sees that the support is coming from their community, they're going to want to um, help have positive interactions with their community.
yeah.
So,
You told a couple other stories when we had coffee. You talked about um, I think there was one about diapers, and there was another one with a car. Was it a car seat?
yeah. So there was a story on Salem Police Department's uh, f- social media feed, I don't know, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, about an incident that took place. I think it was I may have some of the details wrong, but basically this family needed to go home from the hospital, but because they were in an accident, the car seat was damaged or it wasn't appropriately fitting their vehicle or something. And the police officer went out and bought a new car seat, so that he could help the family install it in their vehicle and the family could go home from the hospital. He spent
Love
his own
that.
money on it, you know? And there are also, um, there's a section of the Salem Police Department that has donations by volunteers that, like stuffed animals and diapers and basic necessities for kiddos, that a lot of the patrol vehicles will have extra goodies in their cars for needs that they see as they're going about their day. And they can stock up the back of their vehicle if they want to and just take those stuffed animals out to families that maybe they see on a regular basis, or see a kid that would really love to hug on a new stuffy. So they can
Yeah.
take it with them and use it if they want to. Yeah. Literally, it's a closet with floor to ceiling shelves, and they're just stocked full of supplies and goodies for the kids, and it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Now
Yeah.
you also you just recently told me, and I know I have heard about this, but the PAL program, I think that's what it's called, the PAL program.
Yeah. National PAL Police Activities League.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah. So they um, work with communities to do things like either play basketball, or if the kids are into chess, someone that wants to play chess. Where the officers show up, it's a scheduled event. Typically, the officers show up either at a local sports complex or at a neighborhood where there's a basketball thing on the street, and will just interact with the kids in a positive way. It's a kids and youth program specifically, and um, remind me to also talk about National Night Out once I'm done talking about PAL.
Okay.
But this is a nationwide thing that I think was started in Washington, D.C., and they're just learning to do more, or they're wanting to build more chapters across the US. So it's a great thing for police departments to do on their own, but also some foundations are bringing that PAL program under the wing of the foundation that they've set up to help them. Just another way to build trust in the community in a positive way before that family maybe has to call 911 for an emergency. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
And in a time where a lot of school districts have removed school resource officers from campus for various reasons, which I don't understand. That's a whole different topic. But so that positive interaction on a day-to-day basis isn't there anymore for a lot of these kids. And so PAL can step in and help with those outside of the school districts to accomplish the same thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So do they play or engage in whatever, whether it's
Mhm.
chess or out on the basketball court?
Yeah.
Do they do it in their uniform, or is this they do it
Typically,
fun?
which is cute. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
All their gear,
Yeah,
just running so
exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
So how do you find out about PAL?
You can
Is
go
this
on the nationalpal.org website and look up chapters in your area, and potentially, if you don't know of one in your area, set up a PAL program or a PAL chapter. So it's pretty neat.
yeah. All
Yeah.
right, tell me about National Night
National Night
Out.
Out is put on by the police department, and any resident in the city can say, hey, I want to host a party either in my driveway or front yard or at a local park. And typically, you'll be one of the stops that the patrol officers or whoever's assigned to going out to visit these parties will come by your house. I've done it now for 3 years. In my driveway, I just throw a little party. One year I had an ice cream truck here. One time I had a barbecue truck here. One time I think I had a taco truck here. And we were the hit of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I invited neighbors to come. I did a post on social media. Hey, if you don't have a local national night out spot to go to, come to my driveway. And
Okay, so
typically
how does that work? Because I've heard about this
yeah,
for I don't know how long, but I've never participated or anything
yeah,
because I don't really know
it's
anything about it.
It's neat. It's just like a neighborhood block party, and then the officers will stop by for 30 minutes, depends on how many other stops they have to make for the night. The last time an officer stopped by here, my local city councilor was riding along with the police officer, so we got to visit a time before the mayor came to my house along and just hung out with us, with her and her husband and their lawn chairs in my front yard. I set out some games in the front yard. I brought bubbles for the kids, like the bubble wand games for the kids. We played games in the front yard, and then I invited neighbors. I sent out postcards and invited neighbors to come join us, and I met a bunch of my neighbors I hadn't met yet, and it was it's just cool. The fire truck
So,
came by too, the local fire truck, because they kind of
oh,
follow the police cars around. Even though it's a police thing, the fire truck was here too, and it was it's just a way to show it's a national night out is a way to interact with the officers in a positive way. And they may only be here for 30 minutes, but we're also showing that we're here to support you. They show up and we say thank you, and it's a lot of fun.
I don't think I ever knew that, because you see like posters that go out or you see stuff on social media, National Night Out. I don't think I knew that it was actually put on by the police, directly
Yep.
connected to the police officers or
Yeah.
department.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm. Um, what do you think? I just want to ask, what do you think? Because you're on both sides. You're obviously civilian, you're, citizen, and yet you're very connected to the law enforcement on a variety of different levels. But for the average, I try to think my question because I've got three coming to me at like one time. Because I'm all about, my heart beats for. I do believe in my city. The more I'm here, the more I fall in love with it. I really think I'm here for a reason, and I do believe that nothing's impossible. I do think most people we all want the same thing, but we all see things we all see different, which I think is that's a gift. And I know there's frustrations, but my heart beats for helping people get to a place, whether it be a couple, an individual, community, a city, is I love to hear people say, yeah, thanks, because you've helped me or because you came alongside me. I'm better than I've ever been. Right. To me, it's like not saying, oh, I have to reach a finish line, but it is a step forward, and we're no longer where we used to be. We are moving forward, whether it's individually as a couple, because I do a lot of couple work, family, community. And I know the police officers are doing their part in trying to repair trust. How do you recommend it on this side? Because
From
I think because of social media, and I think certain things need to be called out, right? I think there's a place for that. But I also think there is um, too often we can point the finger and say it has to start over there and it has to start over there, and we expect it to come from the top. And yet I think we are at our strongest when we live shoulder to shoulder. And I think it's when we are all doing our part. So what, what would you say as far as how can we do our part
well,
to repair trust?
the only thing we can control is ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can make demands that things change, but that's not on us unless it's us that has to change.
Yeah.
So if it's that we need to change our mind about it, then that's where we have to start. Um, Set aside what others are telling us.
Yeah.
So that's one of my values that I live by is, look, my interaction with said individual may be totally different than yours. And I don't want you to talk to me about how you don't like this person because I've had a totally different interaction and history with that person, and I do trust them. I'm sorry you've dealt with whatever you've dealt with that person, but I've got a different history with that person. And so I'm coming at it with my perspective and my perspective only.
Yeah.
Not to be naive, not to be, oh, everything's fine. And I've been told that I am, and that's
Mm,
fine.
yeah.
Until my mind is changed negatively, I'm going to try to trust this person.
Hmm.
until they prove that they can't be trusted. I don't want to live my life paranoid, distrusting. I don't want to be that way. And I will tell you, once someone shows me who they are, I'm going to believe them, good or bad. I'm using a lot of cliches right now, but it's truly how I live my life. And
Yeah.
I've had my fair share of law enforcement. This is in my previous life, so to speak. I've had my fair share of law enforcement that did not operate with integrity in their job or in their home. And I didn't want to see it at first until they showed me who they were. And some of them changed, some of them didn't. But that hasn't tainted me from not trusting anyone else in that same profession. Each person is their own individual. And so I really recommend, I mean, the horror stories I could tell, but
Sure.
I don't let that taint the rest of my involvement with law enforcement because every individual is different.
Yeah. Well said.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I've lived
Hmm.
it, and it hurts. I might be writing a movie about that one. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So do you find for the ones that you know are out there doing really good things, are they ever open to, because we talked about, y- you know, hey, can I meet with an officer? And you orchestrated that meeting. Do you find most of them or some of them are open to kind of sitting in something like that when somebody has hurts and sitting in on behalf of just police?
Mhm. I mean,
Do you
yeah,
find most are open to that?
I would say most are. And if they're not, they're going to tell you, sorry that I
Yeah.
can't make this happen right now. I mean, that's kind of what I witnessed at the coffee shop that day between uh, now a lieutenant, but he had been a patrol officer for a long, long time. And my friend, who was like, my society and my culture tells me I shouldn't trust cops, right?
Yeah.
And then to see that interaction happen and to watch it with my own two eyes, I know that that can happen over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And most departments will have someone that they'll say, yeah, you know who would be great for this conversation? It's these two or three people. Um, let's see if any of them are available. So, uh, yeah,
It's just good to hear.
yeah,
You know, because to build community, I think some of those conversations need to happen.
yeah,
Like any
absolutely.
community trying to build trust and grow.
Yeah.
So now, if people want to be part of the foundation or get involved, because they really do want to make
Mhm.
help and support and make their community better, how do they get involved in the foundation in their
So,
local area? So maybe not
yeah,
just right
I
here,
would
but
say find out if you have a local nonprofit foundation. Typically, on a nonprofit foundation's website, there's a contact us button where you can just send them an email or put in a note on the contact page and just say, hey, I'd love to know how to get involved.
yeah,
And if they don't have any volunteer opportunities, you could reach out to your police department and ask, is there a volunteer department that I could get involved with? And what does that look like? And here's my skills, and here's how I want to help.
yeah,
And um, just reach out, start the conversation, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And if they don't have one, but they
Mm-hmm.
do need one,
Mm-hmm.
you're the woman to call, isn't it? Isn't that
Sure.
right? Isn't that what you do?
Sure. Yeah. So my consulting agency is called Valor Connect, and I am working with a number of departments right now to set up nonprofit foundations because they don't have them. And I'd be happy to even do research for you if you're trying to find someone in your community. If you're if a website search doesn't work for you, I can see if I have any connections that knows of someone in your area to help out with volunteer opportunities or whatever.
But it's not, and you're not only, it's not just police foundation. You do all kinds of foundations, correct? You help people? Isn't
Well,
that right?
it was going to be focused on law enforcement, but I recently heard from a district attorney's office that has a victim assistance branch that they're talking about wanting to set up a nonprofit foundation too. We haven't really started talking about it yet, but that opened my mind to a whole new avenue. So, again, I have extensive donor relationship background, um, client relationship experience, and a lot of nonprofit experience. So
Yeah.
I'm open to doing more, but right now I'm focused on law enforcement and this district attorney's office that wants some assistance too. So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
Wow. Good work. Thanks for all you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
I feel like
For
it's
being a,
truly some of my, it's going to be my legacy, some of my life's work. I don't have kids. I don't have, I've done some volunteer work in various industries, and I know that it's not going to be about the kind of job I held. My legacy isn't going to be about, this is where I get emotional again. It isn't going to be about how much money I leave behind, because
yeah.
there's probably not going to be much, but it is going to be about how I served communities, how I support people, help people change their minds about specifically law enforcement. Um, and I see this as a generational thing in our communities is I'm going to change something for this group of families in our community, and they're going to pass it down to their kids, and I hope they pass it down to their kids. And it's it's good. I'm sorry, I'm getting again teary-eyed. You make me cry every single time I talk to you. Um
You're welcome.
I love it. Um this is truly my life's passion, and I'm learning it now uh in this decade of my life, and I'm happy to know that I'm working where I'm supposed to be working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm so grateful. Every interaction, whether you were speaking at the chamber or we're talking here or we're having coffee,
I
you are
cry.
all
I
heart.
cry.
You do, and I love it. No, I love it because you you literally some people wear their heart on their sleeve and you can feel everything, their passion, their love for people, their genuine. You're all of that. That's why I'm so grateful we're friends now, and I'm grateful that you're on here because we can't do everything, but we can
No.
do something, and you're doing your something and you're helping a lot of people. And the reason why I started this podcast in the first place is I wanted to be with other women, not just to talk about nothing. My heart is for those who want to rebuild and make this world a better place. And you do that. And so I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for all you're doing, who you're touching, you're making a difference, and what a beautiful legacy. So thanks for being here.
Thanks. Yeah.
And we didn't even get to we didn't talk about your oils yet, so we're just
Nope.
gonna have to have you on again. So
Yeah.
just next time, bring a tissue.
Can I tell you? Oh, I've got tissue right here. I'm just afraid to use it because I'm going to smear everything. Can I tell you about a police call that I listened into on the scanner yesterday as I was driving home?
Yes.
Super heartwarming. Um, as a, again, I'm kind of a nerd. As I drive around town, I listen to the police scanner app. And because one, let's avoid areas that there might be a traffic collision or police presence or whatever. So I was driving home yesterday morning before an appointment here at home, and um, I heard about an accident a block from where I live. A pedestrian had been hit by a car, and the pedestrian was out walking his dog, and the dog was injured, and the man was taken to the hospital. I don't know the status of anyone at this point, but the officers who arrived and followed up with it made sure to find out the, of course, identity of the man walking his dog, to try to find family members because the dog was injured and needed to be taken to an emergency veterinarian, and the dog had a broken leg. Um, and I heard these three officers problem solving. Someone had witnessed another person walking their dog, had witnessed the accident, and she's like, I know where this man lives. Let's go to his house. They problem solved to figure out the man's identity. They called the hospital to get the identity of the person to the hospital. They tried to reach family members of the pedestrian that was hit, and the care and concern that the officer was talking about, the dog, and I heard the officer say over the radio, the dog's very friendly and it's a very gentle dog, but it's scared and it's obviously hurting, and I'm trying not to move the dog too much because I can tell he's in so much pain. And just the care and concern in that officer's voice, taking care of a dog, and then taking the dog, putting the dog in his car, taking it to the emergency veterinarian, And I texted one of those officers last night and I said, please relay to everyone else who was on that scene. Thank you for your care and concern over the two individuals that were hurt today, the dog and the pedestrian. And I could hear the care in your voices as you took care of this phone call and as this accident. And I just wanted to say thank you for how you operate.
I love that. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
And I'm a full believer in, I also just love the way you affirmed the person who just did something right. And we all should, right? It should be like, well, duh,
Yeah.
we should all be doing that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always happen. And
No.
I don't think we all can hear enough criticizing and telling people how they should be doing their jobs and how they're not anymore and how blah, 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 like I say blah, 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 meaning it,
Yeah.
we can throw anything in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to me, life and death are in the power of the tongue. And I just think when
Absolutely.
we don't affirm people enough, like, hey, great job. Hey, thanks for giving such great customer service. Thanks for speaking kindly. Thanks for taking care of my pet and that or that human and the pet and their pet. And I appreciate it. I saw it. It's so life-giving.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of good being out there that's happening out there. So
Yeah.
you're just awesome.
Oh, thank you, friend. You are too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, until next time, we're going to do this again. So, because we
Okay.
got more to talk about. But
Sounds
for
good.
now, we're going to put in the show notes all of what we talked about today. Will be in there. Lori's contact, all of that. If you got questions about foundation, if you need help with finding out, like she said, about a foundation or about starting one or getting connected to something, you could always ask her questions. She's great and full of knowledge and experience. So we'll have that in the show notes as well. Follow her on social media if you're a foodie.
Absolutely.
If you got questions about plants, she could probably answer. And right now, she is the elf on the shelf. Have fun with that. So you might not see this until the spring, but you can follow her anyway. So
Yeah.
thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you next time.